Good evening, one and all. Welcome along. It is season 4, episode 38 of the UK Dallas Cowboys podcast. How are we both doing, gentlemen?
Could be better. That's all I really got to say in that matter. Like, we could be a lot better. We could be saying that we're 11-3, but no, we're 10-4 right now. So,
and Paul has Glasgow Blues as well.
I really don't want to be back here. I really don't. Not on the show. I mean, just back in Scotland. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm still jet lagged to hell. So,
I thought David Hellman summed it up perfectly on Twitter. He posted something along the lines of the Cowboys make the playoffs, and it's the picture of Lieutenant Dan at the New Year's Eve party, and he's crying, and he's just not in a good place. But there's all sorts of celebration going on right about him, and I think that's perfectly the way it sums it up. Win the playoffs, but we're like,
it doesn't feel like it.
No.
Doesn't feel like it. Even the game last week against the Texans, it did not feel like a win. And whereas this game, I mean, I already covered this with Meg on the World's team, and that I did say that we should never ever look past the Jags. We shouldn't look past them because they do have good players in that team. Christian Kirk, even Sunshine, Trevor Lawrence, he looked all right, but they exposed our weaknesses in that game, and that was at corner. That game, big time. And now we're in desperation mode for secondary now.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles won on Sunday, and that probably gives them the division title no matter what happens, really. But that's still no excuse for just losing a game.
Yeah.
Especially it's highly likely we'll get the 5 seed, but I don't feel great about it.
The fact that we were 20 points or something like that ahead going into that fourth quarter or something like that.
Yeah,
that just says it all. Our defense, I don't know what happened. It just seemed to kind of disappeared. And I mean, we were moving the ball quite effectively through in that first half. Even rushing the ball, I don't know why we didn't stick to the game plan. We seem to change it up a little bit. It's like, so Tim's just commented, it's like celebrating your best friend beating up your bully for you. Wow. Wow. You're not wrong, Tim. You're not wrong. It did feel like it was the Green Bay game, but the thing that for me, this was a winnable game for us, massively more than the Green Bay game, I thought. But whatever happened, we just seemed to just took our foot off the gas and let Jacksonville take over. But and we just I don't know what else we can say in that matter, really.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, as it says, Merry Christmas all.
So look, just to recap, we've lost 34-40 at TIAA Bank Field to the Jaguars. We're still second in the NFC East with a 10-4 record. It looks like the division is gone, but I want to ask you guys a question here, right? And I kind of put this in our own little private chat that we have that no one else can see. Are we being a little bit overly critical? Because for the first time since the 90s, we've had back-to-back 10 win seasons. It's the first time since Chan Gailey was head coach that we're in back-to-back playoffs.
I think as Cowboy fans, we should be aiming beyond 10-win seasons.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
We're not going to go deep into the playoffs playing the way we have played in the past 2 weeks.
No, certainly not.
Looking over the season, it feels like everybody's regressing at the minute, and it's the wrong month to do it in.
It's, in a way, I agree to some extent in terms of the regression, but I wouldn't say everyone. There is certain players that have actually stepped up their game, like CD Lamb stepped up their game. Like he's playing like a wide receiver number one right now. Like
everybody was a bit harsh,
I think the problem as Cowboys fans right now, we're just not seeing any consistency right now. We're very hot and we're very cold, and the past 2 weeks we've been very cold. Like there's been games where we should never have won, but we did, and there's games that we should have won that we should have lost. So that's the frustrating part, I think, for me anyway. Like, so man, I'll take this as an example. Like during that whole Indianapolis game, that game was frustrating to watch for those first 3 quarters because it was so tight. Then all of a sudden it was touchdowns and picks and defensive touchdowns galore in that fourth quarter. But when you go to that Texans game the week after, that was the most depressing game I've ever been to as a Cowboys fan. And it was really hard to watch. It wasn't until, again, within 2 minutes drive, Dak Prescott takes it up to the win. But this game, we actually looked as though we were actually getting back to normal. Like, we were putting points on the board, we were moving the ball, we had a couple of sacks, etc. Then all of a sudden, something just happened. Something's changed, and we did not adapt or whatever and that, and we're shot ourselves in the foot. And it's frustrating, and we should have every right to be criticizing the team because we should not be giving up a 20-point lead like that. We should never be doing that.
Graham, I just want to pull up a point here, and I'm going to address it to you. So Tim has raised the point, like, I think McCarthy is on his way out if he doesn't go very, very deep in the tournament. And kind of the question I have, like, Mike McCarthy guarantees you 10 plus wins a season, probably 12 wins in a season. The guy everyone wants to talk about coming in as the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys pretty much does the same and has the same record as Mike McCarthy. He's only won 1 Super Bowl. So are we overly criticizing Mike McCarthy?
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's only a matter of time before Mike McCarthy takes over the play calling. There is that point on Sunday. Back to back 10-win seasons. Post-season the past 2 years, you have got to have a floor, and the Cowboys' floor is very, very high because of Mike McCarthy. When Jason Garrett was in charge, we would have been screaming out for Mike McCarthy. Would you not have? Would you not have swapped?
I completely agree with you. Absolutely.
Straight away. So
I think to be fair, Graham, I think we would be actually screaming for anybody than Jason Garrett. To be fair.
Yeah. So
like, don't be wrong. Like we still like no disregard to this Jason Garrett at all. Like for what he did and stuff like that. Like nice guy, but whatever. We did need a fresh face in that team, and we got McCarthy, and he's like you said there, Brian. He's like 10 plus seasons in a row now. Like things are like they're progressing. We are progressing, so we can't really complain too much. But I think us as Cowboys fans, we just always have that high ceiling of expectations every single year because we are one of the richest franchises in the world, not just in American football, but just in all sports. And we should be holding Jerry and Steven to account because you've got all the resources, you've got all the facilities, you've got all the medical teams, and yet we're still falling over each other's shoes when it comes to playoffs every time.
So Joe has thrown an interesting one in here. And again, like I was going to bring these points up about both Kellen Moore and Mike McCarthy. Joe has said, I'd rather have Jason Garrett calling plays than Kellen Moore. What is your take on that, gentlemen?
I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
At least with Garrett, you had somewhat consistency in a way. At least you know what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Whereas Kellen Moore is like a jack in a box. You just don't know what to expect, what pops open.
Yeah, I think Joe's being hypothetical, and Jason Garrett's not coming back to Dallas. He's not coming back to play coordinator. Yeah. But at least Garrett did the basics correctly.
Yeah.
And that when it was an obvious run down, they ran the ball. When it was an obvious passing down, they passed the ball. Right now, that feels like what we need. Right now, it feels like the offense needs to score 20-odd points, don't turn the ball over, and let the defense win the game. I don't know.
It's weird, Graham. It's just weird to even say how we're feeling about this right now because end of the day, we do have a really good team in our hands right now when you really put things in perspective. But it just seems like we just don't know what to expect game day. It's like, is the players in their right mindset going into this game? And whether it's the play calling that's affecting that or it's just that it's so hard to really put your finger on it because if there's one thing I will say though, like you can't really blame Dak in that game at all. Like I think he got a lot of unfair criticism during that game. Yeah, he may have made a bad decision throwing the ball in double coverage early on in the game.
Yeah.
That's on Dak for sure. But the whole game-winning interception for Jacksonville, that was a lot of partial on the O-line not making the blocks and also Noah Brown not securing the catch. So, and the ball was placed perfectly for him as well, despite how awkward that was for Dak. You can't blame it on Prescott. You can't.
Yeah. And like I know when we were in our group chat when we were discussing this on Sunday, I said I was a little bit disappointed in Dak. But I think an awful lot of Cowboys Nation tends to get on Dak for every result. Dak's not responsible for the cornerbacks and how they're playing.
We were terrible.
Linebackers are playing. He's not responsible. Yes, he gave up the match-winning score, but he's not responsible for the 34 points on the other side.
Exactly, exactly, Brian. I mean,
because he's the highest-paid player, he always gets the flack. And you can have both ways. Like, look at Tom Brady, 7 Super Bowls. Tom Brady is the GOAT. It's never about the fact that his first 3 teams, he had a great defense on that team.
Exactly.
Tom Brady won.
Don't forget the New York Giants when it comes to Eli Manning. They had a great defense and they helped them get the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But just to kind of back up that point, it was same. It goes back to the Tony Romo era. Everyone blamed Romo. Everyone blamed him. But it's like, but Romo put up like 50 points against Denver, right? Yeah. And we still lost the game to Denver under Peyton Manning against the Broncos.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, whose fault's that? Like the offense did their job, but yet somehow it's still Romo's fault for not winning the game. I'm sorry, but the defense has every bit of responsibility to predict the game here, and we did not do that against Jacksonville this weekend. That weekend there.
Yeah,
it's frustrating because I still look at that Jaguars team, and it's full of twos. I don't think there's any number one talent on it. It's getting better. It is getting better.
They're on the right. They're in the step in the right direction, Graham. They're definitely they're in that first phase of their rebuilding. They've got the quarterback. Wherever they've got the running back, that's kind of hard to say because they do the 1-2 switch with Robinson and Etienne. Yeah. So we don't know what they're going to do with that. They've got a very, very low end top wide receiver in terms of Kirk, in a way, you could say he's his number one, the way he's been playing this year. He's probably the only free agent is kind of living up to his contract. To like, and the most wide receivers out there is went from our team, but yeah.
Here's the thing, Paul. What did they have this season they didn't have last season? Doug Pederson. It's the guy on the line.
Yeah, I was just about to say that they had a really terrible coach last year. So that makes a hell of a difference to get. Like, if that's one thing that Peterson did have, like he did like study us quite a lot over the past couple of years when he was part of the Dirty Birds and stuff like that. So but fair play to them. They did their job. Peterson called a really good game and beat us fair and square. We just did not execute very well defensively, and we got caught out.
I think that's where my point comes from about the twos. Zay Jones and Christian Kirk are not taking the Jaguars to the playoffs.
No.
And I think that's what's frustrating. That a playoff caliber team should not be losing to the Jags.
Well, in saying that, they did beat like Baltimore as well, a team that people have them as high regard. Like, there's been games this year where Jacksonville should have never won, but they did. And same with the losses. Like, they shouldn't have drew the first game of the season against the Texans. Like, for example. So it's again, me and Meg kind of spoke extensively on this. It's like you just don't know what type of Jacksonville team you're expecting to turn up on game day. And we basically got a team that just kind of like waited and pounced on us at the last minute, pretty much, and just took over. It was so bizarre to watch.
Yeah. Do we want to flip into the news and updates?
Yeah, let's do it.
Good. So we've gone 20 minutes. 20 minutes and we're not even at the news yet.
20 minutes and my goodness, this is going to be a record.
So, look, the news and updates. Tyron Smith obviously came back in for his first start of the season. The Cowboys have sealed a playoff spot despite losing at the weekend. LVE's injury is not as bad as first thought. And,
thank goodness.
I don't know if either of you guys saw this just before we went on. Malik Jefferson has been re-signed to the practice squad. There hasn't been a corresponding move made as yet, so that will come in time. And the big one, I suppose, is that the OBJ talk is starting to cool again.
I'm at that point now. I just want to move on from that circus now. Like, I was on board with the whole OBJ thing initially. Now, like, since we brought T.Y. Hilton in, which I think is actually probably a better solution going forward, we can actually still play him during the regular season and going into the playoffs. And he brings like a wealth of experience and he's not as injury prone. So I think that's probably been a better move. I'm still don't know why we're still talking about OBJ since we made that acquisition. I think it's just media torment again.
I'm just going to pull up something here. Just Mark has asked the question. Sammy Watkins free. Who would we take him to juice up the offense? So I just got a pop-up notification. Sammy Watkins has actually re-signed with the Ravens.
He's re-signed with the Ravens. I was going to say, like, maybe for next season, depending on what our wide receivers are going to be like, maybe. But I wouldn't.
My dad being a Packers fan, we share Game Pass, and I watch Sammy Watkins on a regular basis. No. No. The guy played with Aaron Rodgers for most of the season. No. No.
Definitely not for me either. But yeah, so I mean, I suppose biggest news in the last week, obviously, Tyron came back and played. He was on a snap count for Sunday's game. He shared snaps with Jason Peters at right tackle. Is this a good sign that we have Tyron back? Is it a sign of hope that we have him back now?
Yeah.
or just create more problems?
Well, going into this game against the Jags, my biggest concern was having that continuity on the right hand side now, because obviously Tyron's always been on the left, never playing on the right. But excuse me, having Zach Martin beside you, that should actually help a lot of matters, because you always had that communication with him for so many years being on the team. I mean, I think there was a couple of wee moments, not just on Tyron individually, but I just find from the overall line that things could have been tightened up a little bit better. Like, it wasn't the worst performance and it wasn't the best performance. It was more like an average performance from the O line. Like, our run block, our run scheme looked really okay. We were like, especially in that first half, we were moving the ball really nicely. Zeke and Paul are getting upfield, getting all those dirty yards up as well, and even from the pass blocking as well, like the passes to CD Lamb look pretty decent. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about the O line.
Yeah,
I thought it was good that Tyron Smith offered to go in and play right tackle. Like he wasn't told, like it was to rotate with Peters just to see how he went, and he would. They said pre-game that he was actually looking forward to playing beside Zach Martin, which he's done for the first time in his career. No, offensive line is probably the least I'm worried about.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of units around the team.
And in all things perspective as well, Graham, like when you consider back from 2020 till now, the progression, how our offensive line has gotten better. Like, and that's one thing we've always been critical of, is under Joe Philbin as our O-line coach, we did question about his methods of coaching that, but it seems like this year he's managed to get it switched on, and we have seen a better progression collectively throughout the season from the O-line overall. So we can't really necessarily complain too much.
Yeah, like I think Philbin has been slightly under the radar in that he's got performing better this year.
Agree. Yeah.
I'm still not 100% set on him, and I still think the line could improve.
See, I kind of feel the exact same way. I feel like even though we are improving, but I just don't know if it's I don't know if it's just the person or whatever. I just something is just not sitting right with me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
so, anything else in the news or updates before we move on to talk about the offense during this game?
No, I just want to be back in Dallas right now. Don't want to be back in Scotland where it's minus bloody 3 right now.
The only thing I can think of is it's highly unlikely that Jalen Hurts plays on Sunday.
Oh yeah, that was well. Already, I don't know if you may have noticed this, but already Eagles fans is like, oh, this game doesn't really mean as much anymore because Cowboys lost and etc. etc. And now Jalen's hurt. It's like, if the Cowboys did beat us, then it's not a true sign that they're a better team. I'm like, shut up.
Would you expect anything else?
No, you don't.
Honestly,
I just wanted to rant out about that.
Excuses are in early. That's all that is.
They're getting excuses in early. That's it. Listen, like, either way, like, thinking about this Eagles game, I'm sorry, before we move on to the offense, I just kind of felt like if we do beat the Eagles, then great, wonderful, but we're still going to have that big question mark on us. If we lose, then it's like, we just need, as long as we put in a decent performance, but again, it's just all about this consistency we are talking about week in and week out.
Like, I did mean to come back to this point on the Eagles when we were talking about the record and that. Like, there's 3 games left in this season. The Eagles have to go to their backup QB. Not even sure who their backup QB is.
Gardner Minshew.
Gardner Minshew, okay. So he's a passable quarterback in this league. Eagles could lose their last 3 games.
They could.
You know? And they can't turn around and say, oh, well, you know, we flagged at the end because we lost our MVP, because, you know, that's going to be the talk that they're going to have. You know, Dak Prescott was down for 5 games. you didn't hear the Cowboys crying about him being out for the 5 games. They got on with it.
Yep, that's right.
So I don't think they have any excuse.
I'll just say this finally about the Eagles cry. That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll flip it into offense. I mean, the offense put up 34 points on Saturday or Sunday. And you could still feel a little bit disappointed with the numbers. Is that fair to say?
I guess so.
Like, sorry, I'll pull up the banners, like, because they rushed for less than 150. Total yards were 397. 256 passing and about 140 receiving. Or sorry, flip that the other way. 250 receiving, 140 rushing. You know, the Jags put up 500 yards of offense. You know,
and a lot of that came in that late in that second half.
Yeah, like Dak threw the ball 30 times in the game. He was 23 for 30 as well. You know, so 2 interceptions. So he'd 5 passes he didn't complete in the game.
Yeah,
you know.
It seems a bit unfair criticism in a way, like, because when you look at those stats, that is a winnable game stat.
Yeah.
Like overall, from wide receiver to rushing the ball, and from Dak's perspective, like offensively, just down to maybe the play, like the decision of the play calling or whatever not. But when you actually put the guys out in the field, they still went out and played ball and put points on the board. So I can't really complain how we perform offensively too much.
Yeah.
Just besides the play calling. I don't know about you guys.
I've got a couple of stats for you. Time of possession, 35 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
And the other one, which is a bit of a worry, a third down efficiency of 56%. So they converted half their third downs. That's not playoff caliber.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not asking for every third down, but 75% would have been a lot better. They did not put the game to bed. 35 minutes, we had the ball. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Run the clock down.
Yeah. Look, I suppose you're kind of alluding to the point on the last series. You know, they ran on first and second down, and then Dak threw a bomb on third down, which in turn allowed the Jags to get back up the field and score a field goal to bring the game to overtime. Is that a Mike McCarthy issue? Is that a Kellen Moore issue? Is that an execution issue that they couldn't make yards on first and second down?
It's a Kellen Moore issue.
Yeah.
It's a Kellen Moore issue, because what's the point of Kellen Moore if Mike McCarthy's going to be overriding him every 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Like, no, we can't do that, Kellen. Kellen, I don't like that. We can't do that, Kellen. No. He might as well call the plays himself if he's going to do that. So, for me, it's a Kellen Moore issue.
Yeah. And it kind of stems back to the issues that come up a lot, is that Kellen Moore, as a coordinator, tends to do stupid things at stupid times. And everybody is aware of when he's going to do those stupid things. Like, we had the comment earlier, I think it was from either Tim or from Joe. He was saying, you know, Garrett was a conservative coach. Garrett was conservative, yes. But you knew what Garrett was going to do, and everyone knew it, and it was effective. Kellen Moore tries jet sweeps, loses 10 yards. Doesn't run the ball when he needs to run the ball. and keep the clock chewing up. As you say, Graham, like 35 minutes. They could have taken another minute out of that clock if they needed to.
Any defense worth their salt knows how to set the edge. And if you know how to set the edge, a jet sweep isn't going to do anything for you. I have to admit, I don't like the jet sweep.
Yeah.
I don't like the quick out from trips either, because you're effectively putting you're putting two receivers in front of you, and you're bringing over another two corners. I don't know. It just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers, but can you not do it 5-10 yards down the field instead? Do they trust Zeke or not? Do they trust Tony Pollard or not?
Yeah.
Let them run. The average yardage fell for both of them.
Yeah.
It fell to, let me bring those stats up. Tony Pollard 3.9, Zeke Elliott 3.6.
Yeah.
I mean, we ran the ball 35 times. Dak threw the ball 30 times, completed 27. If I hear those stats, I'm thinking, the Cowboys won that game.
Yep, agreed.
I don't know. I mean, I think
like
34 points is enough to beat most teams.
Yeah.
I think I'd just say that.
Yeah. When I was doing up the stats, I was there, how did we lose this game? Honestly, how did we lose? Like, it just, it defied logic, and it just seemed to be the explosive plays all came for Jacksonville. And we were too busy trying to chew up the clock and not manage the clock.
I mean, see, for me, 21-7 at the half, I think they took their eye off the game. I think a lot of the players started looking at Sunday, thinking about Sunday. This game's won. The Jags are 5-8. They're not coming back, and they did. Big style.
Yeah,
big time.
So Joe's kind of made the point here. I believe it's McCarthy's fault for that 2-minute drive, because he's the coach and should have stepped in and said something. I think that's slightly unfair to Mike McCarthy, because he has to allow his offensive coordinator to do his job. But I think to your point, Joe, and look, guys, row in behind me, or if you have a different point of view, say it. You know, he can't be seen to overstep the mark and overrule Kellen Moore in those situations. But Kellen Moore is in his fourth year as the offensive coordinator. He should know how to manage a 2-minute drive.
Yeah,
you would think.
Yep,
you would think. Quarterbacks, coach, and then offensive coordinator. You would think so. And the minute that Kellen Moore becomes a puppet of Mike McCarthy, he loses all credibility with these players.
Yeah.
So, you can only do so much. He's put his faith in Kellen Moore, rightly or wrongly. I don't know. Jamie said last week that he wouldn't be chuffed if Moore was running the offense next year. I think a lot of Cowboys Nation are feeling like that. I don't know about you guys, but I think a lot of the Kellen Moore for head coach talk has died. I'm not seeing any of it. The Cowboys make the playoffs with 3 games to go, and nobody's talking about Kellen Moore for head coach.
Yeah,
I would not take him.
That's telling to me.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, you can go back to college. As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. So another point, I saw this on Twitter yesterday, right? And I addressed this point. I responded on behalf of the group. was that from our non-receivers named Lamb, Brown, or Gallup, they've contributed less than 100 yards. Is that a concern for you guys? Because my response was, well, if you include the tight ends and running backs, they account for over 1,100 of the receiving yards. So is it unfair to say that we're not using our 4th, 5th, and 6th choice wide receivers better? Or is there a concern about wide receivers 1, 2, and 3?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, CD Lamb 100% reception.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Pollard 4 out of 5. Noah
Yeah.
Brown 6 out of 9.
Yeah.
Peyton Hendershot's catch was a touchdown, fairly good catch as well. I don't think so. I think it's my old catchphrase. There's only one ball.
Yeah.
And if you're putting up 34 points, most of the time that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's just frustrating that they lose to the Jags. I mean,
and I think
I think about it, the offense did not lose this game.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important word. It's just the frustration that's there with how the game went. But the other part of that chat that I heard was Dalton Schultz hasn't justified being tagged in the off season. That for 11 million, we have 445 yards of reception. We've 43 receptions on 66 targets for 445 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Dalton Schultz should have signed that deal when he had the chance.
I agree.
The Cowboys have won this one. There will not be a market. Well, that's a bit harsh. There won't be a big market for Dalton Schultz.
No.
Yes, he was injured for a lot of it, and he's probably just still getting up to speed. But this is December in the NFL. You need bigger performances than that.
Yeah.
And
the other part I would say is obviously Cooper Rush had 5 games. Schultz wasn't his security blanket. So you're now only getting back to where you would be in terms of Dak and Schultz and having that connection.
No, I think, like I said, Dalton Schultz should have signed that deal. It just shows that not every player who gambles pays off. I mean, Peyton Hendershot was more effective.
Yeah.
You know, than your franchise tag.
Yeah.
No, if anybody offers Dalton Schultz $5 million a year, you should sign it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And he's not going to get that in Dallas this offseason. Like for this offseason, the Dallas Cowboys have to re-sign CD Lamb.
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah. It's quite a list.
It's
quite a list.
Is Tony Pollard going to be re-signed?
No.
Try and do that. Because there's only a limited pot.
If I had to answer right now, I would say that somebody will offer Tony Pollard number 1 money.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys cannot have $30 million tied up at running back. So I would, right now, as it stands, I would say to Cowboys Nation, enjoy Tony Pollard while you can. Because somebody's coming in with money. He may well be restricted, but somebody's going to give up whatever it is. I don't know off the top of my head, but whatever it is for Tony Pollard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think the franchise tag, obviously, for running backs is a lot lower than it is for wide receivers and for tight ends. But it's still a case of you have to re-sign CD Lamb and you have to re-sign Trayvon Diggs first.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
most
And,
of your free agency pot gone.
It sounds ridiculous to say, but Micah Parsons isn't too far around the corner.
Yeah,
remember
Mike in 20
during Zeke's rookie deal, he held out. Remember?
So it's after year 3 you're allowed holdout. So you'll have next season for Mike Parsons and then have to re-sign him. And by that stage, by that stage, hopefully the cap will have exploded a little bit more. But just to bring up the point, and like Tim, you're not alone in this point here that you make. We need Pollard and Malik Davis and bye Zeke. Zeke is not going anywhere. The contract for Zeke is too big, it's too toxic, and the Cowboys cannot afford to swallow it. If they swallow that, they can't re-sign Pollard anyway. So I'm sorry, it ain't happening.
Yep. I'm just bringing up Zeke's number. So
go on ahead.
If the Cowboys cut Zeke Elliott, it would cost them just under $12 million.
Yep.
Man.
Ouch. There's Tony Pollard's number right there.
Yeah.
And you're without Zeke.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you restructure and you restructure and you restructure and you restructure again. It comes back to bite you in the behind.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate restructuring. I have to admit.
So Joe's thrown in the point here, and look, I think again, let's just have the discussion. I think we're going to differ in our viewpoints on this. So basically, you got to be really mad seeing Amari Cooper and how he's doing in Cleveland, and with how good our defense is. You know, like for me, I'll give my opinion, and it backs up what Graham always says. There's only one ball that's going around. CD Lamb has 1,000 yards. He has 6 touchdowns. I don't think there's much difference between what he has and what Amari Cooper has.
Yeah, and I find the problem is it's like when you have two. Well, the way how Lamb's playing right now, he is playing like the number one right now. Like, and that was the problem we had last year. So how do we fit Cooper in our system under what Kellen Moore's trying to do? Like, and that was the problem. It's like we've got too many good options when we just want to utilize them. It's like if you're not utilizing them, then it becomes more of a money problem, and that's what it boiled down to. As much as I hate the fact that we gave up Amari Cooper for next to nothing in terms of draft capital, I was just like, I understand why they did it, you know.
Yeah.
But the question is, would you see Amari Cooper getting as much attention this year with Dallas than he would at Cleveland? No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't. It'd be basically, why is he not getting thrown the ball? Why is he only like getting so many targets? That would be the question if Cooper was still with Dallas. As much as I still want him to be part of that team and he deserves better, but yeah.
If I gave the option, and look, I know hindsight is 2020. If you had the option in the off season, you kept Amari Cooper, and we had said goodbye to Dalton Schultz. Would you guys have done that?
Say that again.
Would we have got under the cap in that
situation?
Yeah,
they wouldn't manage to get under the cap.
I think we're having this discussion because Jalen Tolbert hasn't featured.
Very true.
If Jalen Tolbert comes into this season and completes the season with 800 yards and 6 touchdowns, you can at least see what the plan is. Right now, we're scrambling around the league looking for players that people used to buy their jerseys. I don't know. I don't know.
Sorry, just to go back to Tim's point here, he just came back on Tony Pollard. They cut Tony. Tony is a free agent this off season, so he's not owed any money or anything like that. So he will be free to leave. It's up to him. And Joe, I assume, Joe, what your point here is, trust me, it wasn't about money in regards to Amari Cooper. I think we all know it wasn't about money. So, look, it's unfortunate. Is there anything else you gents would like to talk about on the offensive side of the ball? Or shall we move on to defense?
I think we need to get on to the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Okay, let's bring it up.
This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So where would you like to begin, gentlemen? Because look,
I know. How about 1 sack in 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
where have the sacks gone?
And that's
where have they gone?
I'm lost for words, man. I'm really like
last week we played against two backups, not a single sack. This week, fair enough, Trevor Lawrence is in one of his hot streaks, unfortunately for us. Yeah, 1 sack. I mean, DeMarcus Lawrence, 1 tackle. Micah Parsons, 1 tackle, 1 assist, and 1 sack. Worrying.
Yeah.
Worrying. Our defensive tackles, Neville Gallimore, 2 assists. Bohanna, 1 assist. Odigizua, 1 assist. They're not getting to the ball carrier.
It's because it's our biggest weakness versus the run play option, the quick screen pass. That's always been, and that's something. In fairness, I will defend the D line on this one. There's no way you can defend that when it comes to the quick play action like that. like for them to even get to Lawrence and based in that situation is actually kind of remarkable in a way. Like, it's always going to be more on the linebackers and the corners to step up to kind of push forward down, because they're the ones that are going to be reading it. But the D line are basically just doing what they're supposed to do. It's hit their gaps, and next thing they know, that like the ball's gone already. So you can't really necessarily, like, when you were mentioning the numbers like that, it doesn't sound great. But when you put that in perspective of how Trevor Lawrence played his game, which is get the ball out immediately, not staying in the pocket, get the ball out. The D-line are not going to have an ounce of chance or anything like that to even see anything of that ball or anything of Trevor Lawrence. So when you put in that perspective, that's actually not bad considering the style of play they did.
And I think the number I heard at the weekend was that they had something like 20 QB pressures, which was the highest of any team over the weekend slate of games. So, I think, as you say, Paul, they got to a point, but then it's on your linebackers and on your secondary to make plays, and they haven't been.
I mean, when I was playing D-line and stuff like that was probably the most frustrating part of being a defensive lineman, because you feel helpless in a way, because you're you're doing your assignment, you're hitting your gap, you beat the man, you beat the offensive lineman in the gap, and you expect mostly either if you're on the weak side, you expect the quarterback to bail out, but no, he just once he gets the ball, it's quick out and go. You've got no chance of making any impact on that play besides applying pressure, and that's it.
Yeah.
There is a blueprint to put points on the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And the Eagles did that. They did it first. The Eagles did that first back in what was it, week 7?
8, I think.
Week 7 or 8, but the Eagles really showed us, like, because if that's one thing about Dallas's defense, we are very aggressive when it comes to the line of scrimmage, very aggressive, and that seems to be a bit of a downfall now. Because if you become too overcommitted and being the aggressor, like quarterbacks are just going to quickly catch the ball, get it out of their hands as quickly as possible for a screen or whatever.
Yeah. So the question I'm going to ask, and maybe this leans in more towards what actually happened on Sunday. Obviously, Jonathan Hankins has come in mid-season. He has done a job and helped clog up the running lanes. And Leighton Van Der Esch were both missing for the vast majority of that game. And is that a function of why we ended up giving up 40 points? That your middle linebacker was out, your weak side linebacker was ineffective, and your Sam linebacker has been only having a middle in the season. And then obviously you're missing Anthony Brown and you're missing Jordan Lewis in your secondary.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Brian, because it's not the linebackers for me, it's the corners.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys released Kelvin Joseph tomorrow, I would not shed a single tear.
Yeah.
I put up in our group chat. I can't remember which receiver it was, but I asked the question: did Kelvin Joseph have to buy a ticket to get back into the game? Because he got turned inside out on more than one occasion. Again, there was at least one other arm tackle that I did not like.
Yeah.
You cannot bring down NFL wide receivers with your arms.
No.
Yeah. And Nahshon Wright isn't showing much more.
Yeah. I think that is a very, very valid point.
I mean, we were goodness, it was only 5 or 6 weeks ago where we were coming up with all sorts of adjectives for this defense, and one or two injuries later, there's cracks there. There's serious cracks. I said last week, I think Brown and Lewis have exposed some big holes in the backups.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't look great at the minute.
I think Deron Bland has made up for the loss of Jordan Lewis, because you're effectively replacing a slot corner with a slot corner.
Yeah.
But you don't have a boundary corner to go alongside Trayvon Diggs. And teams obviously are not going to throw to Trayvon Diggs anymore. They have learned. He's now starting to lock down his side of the field. Yes, he will give up big plays, and we will discuss this before the end of the season. But we don't have that other corner, that other boundary corner that we need. And it's something I will be looking for in the draft.
Yep, agreed.
It's frustrating that we're talking about the draft.
Yeah,
isn't it? But that's
it's more that's where I'd be leaning towards.
Yeah.
But I just want to bring up this point here from Tim, or had you another point there, Graham?
Yeah, they've spent draft capital at cornerback.
Yeah,
it's not like they've neglected it. And right now, they're not getting good return. I mean, Wright was a third round pick.
Yeah.
Joseph was a second round pick.
Yeah.
You expect these guys to start at some point. They're not rookies.
Yeah.
They were taken in last year's draft. So they're not rookies.
Like you've
I don't
taken
know, have they
in
been
the
coasting a
secondary.
little bit?
Sorry?
Have they been coasting a little bit? Just enjoying their role on special teams whenever it came along?
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Like, I mean, in last year, what they took Nashawn Wright, Izzy Mukwamu, Kelvin Joseph. This year they took bugger. They took Deron Bland. You know, like they've restocked that room and built it up, and they just don't seem to have done anything or made the impact that we were hoping for.
I don't know. It's just frustrating that, like I said before, weeks ago we were lauding this defense. We were expecting the defense to win games for us, and to give up 40 points to the Jags, and to give up 23 points to the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
These are not playoff caliber teams, and that's what we're thinking of right now. We're thinking playoffs. That little X next to the Cowboys' name in the standings. We're in the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe they need to start reevaluating depth charts, because right now you're competing to play in January. And I can't remember who brought up the comment. I think we saw it. A one and done is going to be pretty sore.
Yeah.
Again, we're well used to it. We're well fed up with it as Cowboys fans. I don't know. It's just a little bit of a worry.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of I mean, if we'd come across these scorelines against the Bills and the Eagles, you could have thought, yeah, okay, fine. We put up a good contest, but these are not. I mean, the Texans, they're after the first pick.
Mm-hmm.
The Jags, right, okay, they're on a win streak just now, but it wasn't long ago. What's his name? Trevor Lawrence lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah. They've had back-to-back first picks in the draft. You know? But Paul, this one I think is kind of up your street. So Tim is asking, Mike is still in the running for being the league sack leader. Are we expecting too much, especially when teams are scheming ways to stop him? Our problem is we need another impact rusher. Now, I would say that's slightly unfair given that Dorrance Armstrong has 8 sacks.
Yeah.
Mike has 6 sacks. And, sorry, I did see it somewhere. I did see there's someone else has 5 sacks as well. Dante Fowler. I mean, I think we have impact pass rushers.
I think it's because Parsons is that blue-collar type of guy. He is our star player.
Yeah.
He is going to get the the media attention more than anybody else. Like, mind years ago, well, not long ago, it was all DeMarcus Lawrence. He was the one who was getting all the attention. But now that Parsons has came in, he's brought a different bit of dynamic. Like, I don't think we're expecting too much, maybe potentially, but I do think how many sacks has Parsons got? 8?
13.
13. And how many sacks in total we've got? Like over 40?
Our sack total 49.
Right. So that's one quarter-ish of what we've got.
Yeah, it's a quarter.
Right.
Sorry,
so
just to butt in a minute. Somebody asked who the sack leaders were. It's actually the Eagles. The Eagles are now in 55 sacks.
yeah,
Sorry to butt in. There you go.
yeah, that's fine, man. Yeah. So the past 2 games have not been the best, but I still have pretty much have good faith. I think just with these recent games, it's frustrating to watch because you know what we're capable of doing. It's just again, it's consistency. If there's one thing where I've been struggling all year, is to actually be that consistent.
Yeah. And I suppose maybe to ask Tim's question in another way, is the fact that one of our linebackers is our leading sack taker a concern? That we don't have getting 10 to 12 sacks.
In fairness, Parsons is lined up in the line of scrimmage. He is pretty much playing as a weak side defensive end. He does play back to more the Von Miller outside linebacker type of role, that hybrid player that moves down to the line of scrimmage. Like Von Miller's considered as a linebacker, but you always see him on the line of scrimmage on the edge. So it's hard to it's hard to really say what is Micah Parsons. Is he a linebacker or defensive end? I'd say he's a hybrid. He is a hybrid player.
Well, he's going to want paid as a pass rusher. I'll tell you that.
He is.
But you're right, Paul.
You're right. Absolutely.
He's a hybrid player, but you know what it's like. You don't want the linebacker franchise tag. You want the pass rusher franchise tag.
No doubt.
That's like that is what he's going to be looking for. Is there anything else we want to talk about in terms of the defense? Because I mean, if we look at it, like we're down 4 starters on our defense, and Tim has kind of brought it up here in terms of the Bill Belichick thing, next man up, and you kind of said it, Graham. The next man up is not showing up.
No, and that's unfortunate. The one stat that rings out to me on defense is 17 points in the third quarter. They gave up.
Yeah.
I think they thought that game was won.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
I think we all did, Grim. I think we all thought this game was the game set and match.
27 points in that second half. It's a sore one. It really is. Like I said before, are there any Pro Bowlers on that? I didn't talk about Pro Bowlers, but are there any Pro Bowlers on that Jags offense? I don't think so.
Wasn't one of their offensive linemen? I could be wrong, but I was almost saying one of them did get listed
in terms of skill players.
No skill players, no.
You know, and they're the guys that score points. They're the guys that score 40 points. Ouch. I mean, I know it's so easy to blame Dak. It's so easy to blame Dak for the interception that lost us the game. But see that situation should never have happened. It should never have gone to overtime.
Yep.
27 points allowed in that second half.
Yeah.
Ouch. That's criminal. Ouch.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm conscious we're only an hour into the show.
Yeah.
It's
weird. It's such a weird, like,
to point out, isn't it?
It really is. Like, I think for the first time for us as a team, we've been doing this for what, nearly 4 years. We've been doing this now. I think this is probably the first game we've actually really stumbled upon saying, "What in the hell just happened?"
Yeah,
like in a pure confusing way. Like, we're not. It's so weird. Our emotions, like, we're very we're not angry. We're just confused. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, how on earth did we lose? It's like, because on the bright side, we're still 10-4. We have made the playoffs. I take it that does take the edge off it, but it's like, do better. Do better. If we're going to go into the playoffs and not rely on other teams to help secure in the playoffs, we need to set the principle and going into these games and actually win it from start to finish. We can't just win the first half and lose the second half and we've lost the whole game. We can't do that.
Yeah. I'm just going to pull up
it's almost as if they've given up on the chase with the Eagles.
See, I love Tim's comment here. And this is one of our good friends, Big Game James. Big shout out to Big Game James, man. He always keeps it 100% real, and I agree. I am at the point. I'm not upset. I'm just trying to analyze how it went wrong. Like, there's no point. There's no point getting upset about it because it's now done with. You think about the next game.
Yeah, but here's the point, and Tim kind of brought this up. Great teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. And then he mentions the bit about Belichick's next man up philosophy. You, at the moment, with the Dallas Cowboys, you can't rely on them to beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Because I had the feeling before the Texans game and this game that they were going to lose one.
And here's the final, Brian. No one thought we would have beat the Bengals or the Rams at the start of the season because they were the two teams that were in the Super Bowl last year, and look what happened.
Yeah, and did that with a backup quarterback.
Yeah, even more impressive.
Yeah, I can't remember who said it in the comments, but they referred to the Packers game. That this feels like the Packers game all over again.
Yeah.
Because before
I think it was Joe that mentioned that.
Before the week they beat the Cowboys, they'd lost the previous 5 games.
Yeah.
The Cowboys should have gone into Lambeau Field and punched them in the nose, and it didn't happen.
Yep.
They should have gone into Jacksonville and punched them in the nose, and it didn't happen. Interestingly enough, do you know the Cowboys have never won in Jacksonville?
I was just about to mention that. Meg pointed that out on Saturday on the World's team that whenever we've played Jacksonville in their home ground, we've never won. We've
only played them twice.
Still,
it's still true.
And we've beat them every time back at AT&T or London. So
no,
actually, technically, we have beaten Jacksonville on the road because of London, because that was their home game. So I don't know about the problem is, but would you really consider that
in Jacksonville?
You have to really beat them in Jacksonville to
Do you know a thought that's just gone into my head last year? Last year's loss to the 49ers.
Yeah.
Can you not just see that happening again?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think so. Like we're going to be playing whoever wins the NFC South, and there's a competition in the NFC South to not win the NFC South. There's no team above 500.
And here's the thing, right? Here's the thing, though, Brian. Like, take away that first game of the season against Brady, that first game of the season. It would be a hell of a lot more different game going into postseason. A lot more different.
Yeah,
I think. But it's.
I'm meaning like everybody and their dog expected the Cowboys to beat the 49ers last year.
No, I didn't.
Did you not?
I thought I had it really close. I had it really close. I had this edge in it. I had this edge in it potentially, but just kind of going back onto the point with these playoffs, we just need to make sure we're just consistent. That's all I think that's all I'm at. it's probably hard to ask to try and be consistent in one of the toughest leagues in like toughest sports in the world.
Mhm.
So, but
Yeah.
but
Like,
we just can't afford to do that anymore.
It's tough because we're talking about playoffs.
Yeah.
Because we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Are we
Exactly.
playoff
But
ready?
no, we're not.
This is,
No.
I mean, this
But
is
here's the
my
thing,
concern.
but at least we're honest about this. We're not trying to sugarcoat anything. We're going to say, oh yeah, when it comes to Saturday, we're going to beat the Eagles. Man, we're going to beat the Titans. Then we're going to beat the Commanders. Then we're going to go and win all the way to the Super Bowl. No, you need to take a good long look and look at the film here, folks.
Yeah.
The way we are right now, there's been games where we've been very, very lucky to even get the win, i.e. Houston last week. There was games where we should have won by an absolute margin and just completely screwed ourselves over. And Joe made the comment about that. It's like our own worst enemy is ourselves.
Yeah.
It's so true what Joe has just mentioned in that in the comments. So thanks again, Joe, who's watching all the way from Italy. Big shout out to you, my friend. And
to be fair, Paul, you kind of alluded to the question I was going to ask is, look, we've 3 games to get ourselves right.
Yeah.
The Eagles on Saturday night, the Titans, and the Commanders. And that's our 3-game stretch. Like, I've heard people saying, should we rest our starters? Absolutely
not.
No.
Absolutely not.
We need to
not
get
a
everybody
chance.
firing again.
No, not after the past 2 weeks. Nobody deserves a break after the past 2 weeks.
Yep.
If anything, they deserve a slap across the face to wake up.
I mean, if there's ailments, like if you've got LVE dealing with something, that's a different story. If you're, I don't want to say fully fit, but if you're ready to play, you should, because we need to right some of these wrongs and we need to change the narrative on the defensive run game, because right now there's a PDF out there of how to beat the Cowboys defense.
Yep.
And we need to get rid of it.
It's literally an idiot's guide how to beat the Cowboys book.
Yeah.
It really does feel like that right now. It's like, oh, I've got the book. You can buy it in your Waterstones or your bookstore for $5.99. Here you go. Oh God.
So
just run the RPO, then you'll be fine.
I mean,
and here's the thing: we should not be laughing at this, but it's true though. It's so true. It's like we still cannot defend the RPO or the screen yet, and that's been our Achilles heel throughout this whole season. We still haven't managed to do that yet, and like you said, we've got 3 games left: Eagles, Titans, and Commanders. At the way I'm feeling right now for these next 3 games, I'm on edge. I'll be perfectly honest. I'm on edge. I am not taking any of these games lightly.
Yeah.
Like the way the Commanders have been playing recently as well, they are like, doesn't matter who their quarterback is or whoever, they're still playing some good football. And same with the Titans. Like, I think the Titans are pretty much in the worst situation they've been for a wee while.
Where are our manners? Where are our manners, guys? Thank you to the Washington Commanders for putting us into the playoffs.
Oh yeah.
Thank you very much, guys.
But at the same time, we shouldn't need to thank them. We should be putting ourselves in that situation. Yeah. We shouldn't have to rely on other teams putting us into the playoffs. We shouldn't have to pray to the gods that Washington beat New York or whatever, and all these different scenarios and outcomes. No, we should be doing things our way, set the principle, get the win, no questions required.
That's it. While we're still talking about the defense, for the rest of the season, if I'm the offensive coordinator playing the Cowboys, I'm taking a look at the field and I'm in my quarterback's ear going, number 1 is at X, number 1 is at Y, number 1 is at Z. I'm targeting Kelvin Joseph.
That's a few players.
Whoever's there.
Yeah.
That's how poorly I see him at the minute. He is the weak link.
I think Tim's just brought in a great question for the pregame show.
Oh, that I will leave that to you for the pre-game show.
I
But
I'll leave a general answer, but I'll expand it on Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm going to say if we lose, it will be a better motivation because we do need to wake the hell up and actually get ourselves like prepared. Like like you said, we cannot afford to let starters rest. They need to get their heads screwed on and actually start performing. Just the last 2 weeks have been really bad, especially at this pinnacle point of the season. So
just for balance, I'm going to say if the Cowboys lose on Saturday, the confidence will go through the floor. Because you're losing to the 1 seed. Let's call them the 1 seed now because they are effectively. You're losing to the 1 seed without their starting quarterback.
Yeah.
So what does that say to your playoff chances?
Yeah.
Austin Powers chiming in. How you doing, Austin?
Oh, Austin's back in the house.
Haven't spoken to Austin for a long
I know.
time.
Where have you been, bro? Where have you been?
He's been trying to figure out what we've been doing the past 2 weeks. That's where he's been.
Yeah, he's just literally just answered the question. What's happening for our defense? We don't know. We don't know, my friend. We don't know.
Do you know what's even more worrying? Dan Quinn doesn't know because if he did, he'd have fixed it by now.
Yeah. So Austin has been working. Yeah.
Paying the bills. Good man.
Absolutely. You've got to pay the bills, Austin. But to give you my thoughts on it, look, I don't want to lose to our biggest rival again this season. So
Never do I.
I want to win. I want this team to start righting the ship. And there should be no better sight than black jerseys and black helmets on Christmas Eve night.
That's right. They'd run the whole blackout, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bunch of doofus, man. I'm sorry. Like, it's like,
do we want to get to the bright spot of the team at the minute?
I will. Aye, go for it. I was going to say something.
6 out of 6 on Sunday with a 53-yard field goal. Brian Anger doing Brian Anger things and probably getting himself back into the Pro Bowl and All-Pro talk.
I always thought Brett Maher was a Pro Bowler.
I keep saying I don't know what that Brett Maher has done since he left Dallas, but whatever he's did, like off-season wise and stuff like that, but he is really, really stepped up to the plate. And
he's clinical, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah. So any abuse I've ever given to Brett Maher, I do apologize for the previous years that you were with us.
No, I think it was deserved at the time, Paul. I think it was deserved at the time, but
it was deserved at the time. But he's fully redeemed himself.
Yeah,
the amount of times he's actually helped us win the game this year is enough being said.
Yeah. I mean, 2 for 2, 4 extra points, and the longest was 53 yards. You can't do any better than that.
No, you can't. And only just that as well is like, oh, you're right there, Brian.
All good.
I mean, he's caught a computer virus from me.
Yeah, it's not only just that. It's like, remember the scenario that we were in during pre-season with Hallelujah or whatever his name is, and all these other kickers that we brought in, and we were just getting nowhere, and that was our biggest concern. And when we brought in Brett literally 1 week pretty much before the season started, we're like, oh, here we go, it's going to be another chaotic kicking year. And by goodness, how wrong are we as fans, as Cowboys fans? How wrong are we? Like, at least we can put our hands up and say, fair enough, we were wrong.
Yeah,
Money Maher, you kept our mouth shut.
Yeah, I think Meg Murray is due to buy another jersey, and I think she's looking for a number 19 jersey this season.
I'll see how I can sort something out for that then. Oh dear.
Well, look, is
We're
there
in the
anything else?
playoffs. Come on.
For how long? If this rate? I know it sounds pretty dead and gloom what we're talking about here, but we need to be brutally honest for the next coming weeks. Like,
We
still have a job to do. Like that game against Jacksonville sucked. That game against Houston sucked, despite we got the win. Didn't feel like we got a win.
Yeah.
The overall 3 quarters of that Indianapolis game sucked until that fourth quarter, which was purely amazing. If we can play like that fourth quarter going forward every single game, then we would not be having this pure dimmed reaction right now, you know? It's frustrating. It really is. Like, and I'm trying to be I'm still trying to be ultra positive as much as I can, because we still do have a good team. It's just a matter of being consistent. That's our freaking problem right now.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be Brady, to be honest with you, Joe. I don't think it is. I'm going to take a like. I tell you what. Who do you guys think is going to win the NFC South?
I'll tell you what. It's tight. One game separates the whole division.
Yep.
If I was a betting man, I would say probably the Panthers.
See, I'm the same. I think the Panthers will pull it off.
I think Brady will retire for real this time.
You would like to think so.
He doesn't look like the same. I mean, Tom Brady's been clinical for a long, long time. But certainly, I would want to play against Sam Darnold before I play against Brady, though, because right now we're struggling to get against quarterbacks and get the ball out early, and that's exactly what Tom Brady does. So I would rather play the Panthers.
Yeah.
So if we would effectively play the fourth divisional winner, wouldn't we? So it's coming from the NFC South without a doubt.
See that comment there from Joe about Tampa Bay bringing more TV. I there's no lie in that. That's true. But do we really want that more exposure? I would rather have as little limelight so our players can actually focus. See, like Tampa Bay or not Tampa Bay, your Panthers, or who's the Falcons? Is the Falcons that's next up as well?
Falcons and Saints.
So either one of those, preferably either Falcons or Panthers. I don't think you would get as much limelight on national television as much, unless it was Tom Brady. I'd rather not have that limelight so our players don't feel that pressure as much and they can actually focus on doing their job. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So Joe's went for the Saints.
Here's a hypothetical question for both of you. This came up in conversation on Sunday night there. Do you ever see a point where the league only allow divisional winners with a winning record into the playoffs?
No.
Yeah, because it just seems mental where you can still win your division being like 5-12 and still go to the play.
Does that
it makes no sense.
Does that not strike you as something the league would do? You know, they're allowing more teams into the playoffs. They're trying to get more playoff wins, more TV money, more big audiences. Would it not be better if you had every team in the playoff with a winning record?
If it was me, Graham, I would say if you're based on how the wild card is, it should be based on the wild card. Should be based on your record. You're guaranteed your playoff spot based on your division, knowing that fact. But if you're going up against a team that's got a better wild card record than you have, then you're the away team, not the home team. For example. I think that should be the more fair advantage, because the winning team should always have home field advantage, like the team with a better record. But it just seems nuts that, yeah, I just don't. I think the format's a wee bit crazy, to be honest.
Because I'll give you a scenario: the Detroit Lions have a better record than the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
When was the last time we said that?
And they're not in the playoff. No, in the playoff.
And they're not in the playoff conversation. No.
Mental.
Right now, I think it's still the all 4 teams in the NFC East are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think
Because
the Giants.
Everybody else has a 500 record.
Yeah.
It's the tie that's elevating the Commanders above the Seahawks and the Lions. The Lions. We're talking about the Lions in the playoff hunt. Oh, it's been quite a season.
This is probably, without a doubt, has to be one of the most confusing football seasons I've ever seen in recent times.
Yeah.
Like all across the board, not just the Dallas Cowboys, but just overall. Like, you're talking about from refereeing decisions to roughing the passer calls, all that stuff, and yeah, this year's been absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't know about everybody else how feels about, like, just from this season, not as a Cowboys fan, just from overall in the NFL. What is your guys' thoughts? Like, and especially like you two guys, like Brian and Graham. Like, I don't know. I just think this year's just so crazy. Like, there's been games where it should have been that team should have won, but it was complete opposite, and it was like shock there, shot there. Then you had the game this weekend with the Vikings and the Colts. What was it? 36 points, the biggest ever comeback in NFL history, and it's Kirk Cousins. Are you serious?
I've never seen. There's a soccer term called an own goal, and I've never seen an NFL team score an own goal until I watched Patriots Raiders.
The Patriots and Raiders game. I completely forgot.
For those who haven't watched it, this will make your day. Go back and watch the last 2 minutes of Raiders Patriots. I won't spoil it for you, but it's absolutely incredible, and it will make your day.
Honestly,
morning, noon, or night, get it watched because it's incredible.
Honestly,
it would not surprise me if the Patriots cut that guy.
It was. Here's the thing: it was amazing, Austin. It was absolutely amazing to watch. Like, I just can't imagine the rage of Bill Belichick going back to that dressing room after that.
That would be like going to see the Emperor from Star Wars. the death grip would be. I could just see Belichick with the hood up.
Senator Belichick.
Yeah, go back and watch it, folks, because it's first class television. Really, what was going through the player's head, I do not know.
I'm just expecting the Benny Hill music to play on top of that.
Oh, incredible! Absolutely incredible! Brilliant.
Now we've kind of brought the show up to a more comical relief.
We have, we couldn't end it the way.
Yeah, and it's not on our expense; it's on all the other teams, so it's not too bad. You're right.
But it's like I said at the start of the show, that Hellman gif was perfect because it was like, we made the playoffs, yay!
Then you start prodding the Cowboys, like, do something.
But don't worry, everybody. We will pound the Eagles on Saturday, and everything will be all right again.
Yeah.
Man, I cannot. I don't want to lose to these fools. I really don't. I cannot. If there's one thing I hate most than Graham's soccer team, it's Philadelphia. Like, if anyone knows that I'm a Celtic fan, Graham's a Rangers fan. But
did you enjoy that little result tonight, Paul?
What result?
Rangers were 2-1 down with 3 minutes to go and won 3-2.
I couldn't care less, mate. Was it, how many penalties was there?
Classic.
I'm only kidding, mate. I couldn't really care. Like, I honestly, like, despite what me and Graham, like, if there's one thing we all share and we all despise, is Philadelphia. Just that one team in the NFL I just cannot stand.
Yeah, Philadelphia and playoff despair.
Right, I'm gonna go and grab my rope.
Oh, Tim was informing us he used to live in that city.
Oh,
Oh,
and
that must have been tough.
Tim, I'm surprised you made it out there alive, my friend. I really am. Like, if that's one place I'd be feared for my life to go into an NFL game, is going to Lincoln Financial Field.
Yeah.
You couldn't pay me to go to a game there.
No.
Yeah.
Nope.
I've flown past that
Couldn't do
dump
it.
of a stadium.
Unless I've got money like Elon Musk for all the security in the world, then maybe I would.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I have no intention going to Philly.
Like I've seen videos of them punching lumps out each other, let alone Cowboys fans. Oh. But anyway, we've got Eagles, Titans, and Commanders to look forward to.
In 2 nights' time, at 9 p.m. here in the UK and Ireland, 3 o'clock on the East Coast of Texas, or on the 4 o'clock on the East Coast, 3 o'clock in Texas, 1 o'clock on the West Coast of the US. Mike and the guys will be here.
And we've got a special guest on the show as well.
Oh, do I know? Have we discussed
we've got our good friends from the Cowboys Can Fan, our friends from Canada, coming onto the show.
Ooh.
So it's going to be an absolute laugh going into this pre-game show against the Eagles. If there's one thing we share with our friends from Canada, they hit Philadelphia even more than we do.
That's quite an effort.
Oh, honestly, if you guys ever watch Anthony, Adam, and AJ, like that's the guys from Can Fan. Oh God, they're just absolutely hilarious when they're mocking the Eagles. Like just a bit of context. So Anthony was at the NFL draft this year, I believe. I think it was this year. And you know the Eagles fan that wears the face paint and stuff like that, wears the shoulder pads. So he was interviewing Anthony saying, so how'd you become a Cowboys fan? Blah, 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 blah. And he was pure mocking him, saying, oh, you're a can and a fan or something like that. And Anthony just basically says, so I don't ever get to say this often, but go F yourself. And I thought it was priceless. If Dallas Cowboys play Eagles in the playoffs, my brother will be at the game. Oh, nice. Yeah. So you're thinking going? Oh, listen, Delaware and is surrounded by Eagles fans. Yeah. All right. But yes, cheers to Philadelphia going down. We will cover this up on Thursday. We will have the Cowboys Can Fan guys joining us on the show. And it's going to be, we're going to just try and roast them as much as we can in this pregame show.
So,
Brian, you wanted to close out the show with something important.
Yeah. So, look, guys, I just wanted to bring you up to date. I had to take a couple of weeks out of the show at the start of November, and this is just a call to action for all of you. I had to take a mental health break. Just stuff going on in my own life. I need to step back for my own reasons. And at this time of year, it's very important that you check in with all of your buddies, reach out. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Like, I have a great bunch of guys here with Paul, Graham, Lauren, Mike, Rich, and Jamie, who I was able to talk to very openly, very honestly about what I was going through. They all had my back. All of the guys checked in with me daily, making sure I was okay. So make sure to reach out. You know, this time of year, it's a great time of year, but it can be upsetting for some people. So please don't ever feel you're on your own. Reach out to your friends. Reach out to someone. If you need to reach out to some of us, reach out to us. Don't ever feel you're alone. You're not. You have people who care about you. You have people who will listen to you. So please reach out.
Yeah, just on top of what Brian's saying, if you know you can count on us Tuesdays and Thursdays. Whatever's happening in your life, we'll try and raise your spirits a little bit, even if it is after a horrible loss. We always try and put a positive spin on it, have a laugh and a joke. It is only football at the end of the day. There are far more important things in life.
Exactly.
You can count on us Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 p.m. UK time. Oh, yeah, 9 p.m.
Yeah,
UK time.
you're right there, Graham. You're right. You were spot on.
I had to think about that for a minute.
To be fair, Graham, I was almost getting myself confused because I was thinking I was in Central Time. I still feel like I am. Oh dear. But but just like Brian says, just always kind of check up on people that the most important to you, because it does mean a lot. So, but yeah, be sure you just always kind of reaching out. If you're feeling alone, speak to someone. Yeah.
And look, one of the most important things, check in on your buddies as well. If some of your buddies are not being as happy and jolly as they would be, ask the question and open your ears, because they might just need someone to ask the question. So, just do it.
Yeah.
Doesn't cost you a thing to do.
Absolutely.
But as we say, look, brighter note, 9 p.m. here in the UK and Ireland on Thursday. Guys will be along to discuss the show.
Yeah. Well, before we do leave as well, we'll pay off the bills as well, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, guys. So, as you may know, I was in Texas for 2 weeks, and our good friends at Cowboys Experience have the ultimate meet and greet, stadium tours, game tickets, and tailgating experience, where I got to meet that man up the top left corner, Jay Novacek, where I got myself a signed bottle of whiskey from the man himself. And got to meet like Tyler Smith, Sam Williams. You can see Drew Pearson is there, Micah Parsons. List goes on. You can meet so many legends at these events. Also, if you want to take full advantage of using Cowboys Experience, use the code UK Cowboys, because with that code you'll get free stuff. And by free stuff, there could be free signed merch, could be free giveaways, could be anything. But as long as you use the code UK Cowboys.
Paul, are we getting a preview of the GoPro footage, or are you just going to launch it straight away?
I am going to edit all the footage but yeah, I got some great footage. Like, so in that particular day where I went for the Legends meeting, where Jay Novacek and Drew Pearson and Kenny Gant were there, it was all indoors because it was raining that day, but I still got some really good footage of that. So that'll be part of the documentary, and I'll be getting that done over the Christmas period. So it'll be out probably after New Year, probably. So that will help you guys educate in terms of cost of pricing, everything you need to know, like in terms of getting tickets, all the hacks in terms of using your credit card, debit card, all that type of stuff. I'm going to try and put as much information and try and make it as affordable and easy for you guys as much as possible for this video I'm doing for you guys.
Even connecting flights?
Oh, don't start me in that one. Don't start me in that.
That was a red rag to the bull there.
That happened last minute as well. I was literally on my way to the airport. Then I got the notification saying my connecting flight got cancelled, and they're sending me to London City. So by the time I got to London, I was like, I don't want to go to London City and carry all my luggage.
Yeah.
The other side of London.
Yeah, on the underground.
Yeah.
On the tube.
On the tube during lunchtime hours and that. So. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But finally, but be sure to go and follow our fellow content creators, guys, from the official Cowboys.com channels like Talking Cowboys, Time with the Boys, The Break, also SB Nation's Blogging the Boys, where you can find me and Meg and RJ Ocha and everybody else. Also, you've got Lisa J Talk with CFO Sports, Big Game James, Law Nation, Bluff City Cowboys, Cowboys Zone. Our special guest for Thursday Cowboys Can Fan there in the bottom right. So be sure to go and check all these guys out, and yeah, show them some love.
Do we want to mention the travel package?
Oh yes, we can't forget that. So yes, guys, for next year, for the 2023 season, us and our sponsor Cowboys Experience are going to be having a travel package that includes game tickets, the tours, the meet and greets, and so much more, possibly even including a college football game. that has been discussed as well. So, but be sure to go visit our Facebook group for more details or contact Cowboys Experience for more further details.
Mike's not trying to get us all to College Station, is he?
I have no idea. It might. I don't know. It may be just. It could be. I have no idea. Like,
yeah, most
but
likely
in-
it would be TCU, which is in Fort Worth.
It could be North Texas as well.
Yeah,
Could be that.
yeah.
So we don't know. But again, we don't know, folks. We're just gonna play it by ear, but it will be part of the package.
Yeah. So get in touch. Get saving your pennies. Get talking to Santi and see what he has to say about Christmas present for 2022 and 2023.
Oh, Tim's just asked me how long was my flight. From Glasgow to London is about an hour flight. Then from London to Dallas is about 9.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice flight.
So all those details, they'll be going into the video I'll be doing. So I'll just keep it out on the social media, from UK Cowboys to Blogging the Boys to my individual one. I'll be posting it up and giving people updates about it when it will get launched live.
So there you have it, folks. We will see you at 9 o'clock here in the UK and Ireland on Thursday. Gentlemen, I will pass it over to you to wrap things up.
Screw the Eagles. Dallas forever, Philly for never.
Hopefully, it's a drop in the ocean, and we're talking about a 13-4 record. That is what I pray for.
Night, folks.
Good night.